more hints of more older Call of Duty games dropping onto Xbox Game Pass. I really hope that this does end up happening. Toys for Bob, they're working on an ambitious title with Xbox. And one of the questions is, will Banjo-Kazooie come back? Because Toys for Bob will be a perfect developer to work with to bring that game back. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate gets a bunch more games into stream your own games section of the service. Atomfall hits some records here, some great numbers here for Atomfall. Shawn Layden is always outspoken. He discusses the pricing of the Nintendo Switch 2 games, and he isn't really in tune here with a lot of the gamers in what they think about the overall prices. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle gets a PS5 Pro upgrade, which is looking pretty good, and Digital Foundry goes further into the Switch 2 display 120 FPS, as well as we have ESO, Elder Scrolls Online. They had their event. We didn't get the Oblivion remake announcement, but we did get some more details about that game. So if you're somebody who likes Elder Scrolls Online, you'll want to stay tuned to see everything new that is coming that came out of that event. But before we continue, if you enjoy daily gaming news, content, discussions, keeping up to date on everything in the gaming industry, my new show at 8 a.m. every single day, hit the subscribe button, share the video, like the video. I see many of you who do watch are not subscribed, so I would appreciate it if you're enjoying the content to hit that subscribe button. But for now, let's jump into it. The discussion about Call of Duty games dropping into Xbox Game Pass came up right away. As soon as we heard Xbox was buying ABK, you saw all of the people online excited about potentially getting all of the older Call of Duties brought back and being able to jump in and have full lobbies. And there was a moment in time where that did happen, where Xbox revitalized these servers for these older games. They put all of the games on sale, and the lobbies were full in those older Call of Duties. I haven't been in them recently, so maybe there are still people playing them if you are to jump in. But one way to bring these games back to prominence, and in my opinion, bring the golden age of Call of Duty back to the current times, would be to just release these in Xbox Game Pass. I think a ton of people would go in, and there would be a lot of great gameplay clips and just fun to be had. It was also a golden age for Call of Duty YouTubers back then when these games were out. Those were some of my most watched videos back when it was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, World at War, and all of those awesome games that were happening, the Black Ops series, the first ones that came out. So hopefully they do end up dropping them into Game Pass, and now we have a little bit more of a hint here that I would say I think this is going to happen. It's just a matter of time. They're probably just deciding when to drop it in, especially because Game Pass is absolutely loaded, and it's going to continue to be loaded. More games are coming to the service, and more games are being announced all the time. Like in yesterday's show, there were 3 more games that were dropping in day one. But this is why people now are believing that more games are going to be coming from Call of Duty. And it's because 2 Call of Duty titles have been found with the available on Game Pass label. That is Call of Duty World at War and Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Call of Duty World at War, awesome game. I loved it. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, I don't believe is beloved as much. I wonder if there's any nostalgia surrounding this game now, where when it first comes out, people don't like it, but now years later, you jump into it and maybe people will find some love for it. Bringing it into Xbox Game Pass could definitely make that happen. We go down here into the comments, and this person says, if they have achievements, I'm going to be upset. I can't go through Heart of the Reich and Veteran. Is twice not enough? This person says, yes, been waiting to replay World at War for a while. This person says, World at War about to witness a resurgence, and I'm all effing for it. So when? Next week. World at War is one of the few campaigns I've missed. And that is the other thing. It's not just about the multiplayer side of things. It's also the campaigns that a lot of people missed out on, probably because they only jumped into multiplayer, haven't gone back to play them. But if they can bring them back here, and they have some of those backwards compatibility features to make them look and run better than when they were out back on the consoles that they were previously out on, that would be another big win. And in fact, Infinite Warfare actually had a good campaign. I think it was the multiplayer that people just didn't like. So fingers crossed, this is finally the signal that we are getting big announcements here for Call of Duty soon about the older games dropping in to Xbox Game Pass. If it's not in the next month or so, maybe this will be a big announcement that they keep for the Xbox showcase in June. I wouldn't be surprised if that was something that Xbox did end up doing. All right, Toys for Bob. We talked about Toys for Bob yesterday. They are working on a new ambitious game here with Xbox and Activision with that partnership. As we know with Toys for Bob, they were part of the ABK deal. Then Xbox allowed them to spin off and become independent. And then after they did that, they made a deal and a partnership with Xbox to be able to work on the IPs that Xbox now owns. And they've been working on a game here for a while. This was announced a while back. We didn't really hear anything about it other than that they were in partnership. We've seen teases that they are working on Spyro. So we don't know exactly what game that they are working on, but they're saying it is ambitious. The other thing people would love to know about Toys for Bob is, would they be interested and could they make a new Banjo-Kazooie game? I absolutely think they would be the perfect selection for a developer to do it. And it does seem like they are interested in bringing Banjo-Kazooie back. This here is from an interview with Canadian Guy A on YouTube and with Paul Yan, the co-studio head and creative director at Toys for Bob. And here is what he says about Banjo and a game and everything. He says, one company we'd like to work with is one we're already working with, Team Xbox. They've been a great partner, and they also have a very interesting roster of characters that Toys for Bob could have a lot of fun with. The Honey Bear is the first one that comes to mind. I think we can all agree Banjo's been hibernating long enough, right? So right there, they are absolutely open to making this game, and you have to ask yourself, is this going to happen? Because the previous excuse that we have heard from Xbox about why Banjo-Kazooie was not being made was simply because they just didn't have a team that was really showing that interest to make the game. They didn't have, I guess, the time, resources to want to invest in it. And they didn't want to just give it to anybody to go out there and make it. It has to be somebody who's interested and wants to do good for this IP when they do make a brand new one to come out. Toys R Us is coming out straight away here and saying, we're interested, we will do it. So hopefully this does trigger some sort of talks to get in the works, and then they can finally bring this game back. And then when it comes to what they're working on, apparently it's ambitious. It's an ambitious game they're saying that is going to push, they say, their craft to new heights. They specifically say here, I will say that we're very much in the thick of development. The team is very thrilled about how the experience is shaping up. So we are probably going to hear something from Toys for Bob soon. Again, is this a Xbox showcase announcement in June on whatever they are making? I have a feeling it's probably a new Spyro, just based off of the teases that have been put out and the rumors and everything, which would be awesome because I do love the Spyro series. But if you're waiting for whatever's new for them, go check out the older games. Go check out the Spyro Reignited trilogy. It's a phenomenal remake that they did. And they just do some of the best work, I think, in 3D platformers and bringing that genre that was extremely popular. One of my favorite genres back in the older generations, like the Xbox, PS2, and GameCube days. They're bringing it back to prominence every time they put out some of their new titles. So excited to see exactly what they are working on. Now, when it comes to Game Pass Ultimate, one of the features that has been slowly being implemented and released has been stream your owned games, which is a great feature. I was very happy when they finally announced it. They are slowly putting games into this service itself. I'm sure they have to do testing and there's probably licensing stuff when it comes to releasing games into the cloud. But more games are coming and the list is getting bigger and bigger. And now there are a bunch more here. 8 more owned games are dropping into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate that you can play if you own them. They don't have to be on the Game Pass service. Here are the games that are dropping into the service, these 8 extra games. So we have here Botany Manor, Coral Island, Harold Halibut, Homestead Arcana, Kona, Orcs Must Die 3, This War of Mine Final Cut, and Turbo Golf Racing. Those are the 8 games here that are dropping into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. If you own them now, you can just jump in and play them on the cloud anytime. And as I said, more are coming. One of the biggest ones to hit this year in the stream games that you own service is Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I've jumped into and tried on the cloud itself. A game like that, though, it's hard to sit back and play that on the cloud simply because it's so beautiful that when you're not playing it on a big screen TV and just seeing all of the details within that game, you kind of feel like you're missing out. But for when it comes to cloud, I do kind of select the styles of games that I enjoy playing on there. And they're usually smaller games that you can just jump into and play through through like a level. There's a lot of gameplay in it, but it's not really story based or really graphics based as much, but just really focuses on jumping in and getting a few rounds or something like that. Those styles of games are the ones that I jump into, as well as side scrollers and Metroidvania games are great on cloud gaming. Bigger games that have a lot of detail in them, you are going to miss out on a lot of that detail simply because of the screen size that you're generally playing on. Like I'm generally doing it on my phone, and obviously you're not going to get those crispy resolutions that you'll get by playing it natively off of the hardware. Now let's talk Atomfall, because Atomfall, it dropped into Game Pass day one, and it's from Rebellion. I think this is now their most successful game as it continues to do big numbers here. It's like a mix between Stalker and Fallout. A lot of people were looking forward to this game. Reviews came out pretty good. I think it's sitting around an 8 or so. And now it has attracted 2 million players since they launched it. And they say that they've eaten 14 million tins of meat. They say over 2 million citizens have explored Atomfall's dangerous biomes, foraging for meat, drinking beer, and bonking druids on the head with cricket bats. The RPG is shaping up to be one of Rebellion's greatest achievements, if not the greatest. And the developer has a ton of fun facts about the 2 million Atomfall players who have played the game. So they put out this post here. They show all the things that all these players have been doing, but I think this is going to be their most successful game that they have ever created. And for good reason. It did well in the reviews. A lot of people are enjoying it. And I also think Game Pass has a huge effect here to get people to go out and try it. It was also a part of a lot of the marketing campaigns and showcases leading up to the release. So people were looking forward to it and had this game on their radar. I want to play it. Haven't gotten to it yet. There's just too many things on the go right now. Too many games that I'm playing. I just keep going back right now. I'm playing Monster Hunter Wilds and Assassin's Creed Shadows in my free time. I still need to jump into South of Midnight. So, and then we have Doom coming out in May. So who knows when I'll get around to it, but definitely one that is still on my list, added to my backlog, I guess you can say for now. All right. Let's talk Nintendo Switch 2. The game prices have been a topic of discussion ever since that they did come out. Their $80 for Mario Kart World was something that really got people talking. I think it's too high of a price. I do think it's still going to sell very well, even at $80, because it is a game that if you have a Nintendo, you're buying it. You're simply, most people who have a Nintendo Switch 2 are buying Mario Kart, whether it's with the bundle or whether they buy it separately down the line. They're going to go buy this game. So I think it's still going to sell very well. Nintendo says that it's worth it because there's a lot of content in there and it's a much bigger game. And now Shawn Layden here has weighed in as to what he thinks about the $80 Nintendo games. And we don't know how many will be $80 because the pricing is across the board if you look at all the games that have been announced for the initial launch of the Switch 2. But for the $80 specifically, Shawn Layden seems to think it's fine. It deserves to be $80. As you know, Shawn Layden, the former PlayStation boss, very outspoken. Right now he is at Tencent. He always talks about Xbox's strategy and PlayStation strategy still. But here is what he says about these games that Nintendo is putting out. He says, they poked through the ceiling of price elasticity where they thought none existed before. Recently, it went to 70 and people went crazy. I think Nintendo's pulling the Band-Aid right off and saying, looks like it's 80 for a frontline game on a new platform. He goes on here to say, but right here you see, wow, that's kind of a hefty price hike for Switch 1 to Switch 2. Wow, $80 for a game. If it's the only place you can play Mario, then you get your wallet out and you buy into it. That first party exclusivity kind of mitigates the sticker shock, if you will, of these price hikes because you want the content so bad. And I mean, that is true. I mean, that is the reality of the situation. We talk about exclusivity here. I don't really care about it. I don't care that Xbox is putting their games on other platforms, and I never care about other people not being able to play games simply because of the plastic box or whatever. But exclusivity does do this, and he's just saying the quiet part out loud. It's simply just for the business. It's simply just for the business to try to make as much money off of each consumer as possible by locking content away where you're forced to go into their ecosystem and spend whatever price they decide to put it at. If Mario Kart World was available in more places, more people could go out and buy it. Let's say they release this game day one on PC. Would they have to launch it at $80? Maybe not. I mean, maybe they could have just done it at the traditional $60 or $70 because there would be way more people that could go out and buy it and they wouldn't have to be locked to the Nintendo Switch 2. So that's what exclusivity is about. It is about marketing. It's about making the business as much money as possible. And he's right. People are going to go out and spend the $80. I agree with Shawn Layden on this sense, especially with Mario Kart World. Because it's locked to the Switch 2, you know that's the only place you're getting Mario. People are gonna go out there, take their wallet out, and they're gonna spend the money for those games. Not only Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, that one that comes out, people are gonna buy that. Whatever Zelda games that they do put on the future, I have a feeling all the Zelda games are gonna be priced at $80. People are gonna go out and buy those too at that price tag. So that's just the reality of it. It's not something that I think is great, and people are going to continue to complain about it, but will it be enough to affect the pricing going forward? And will Nintendo take a step back and say, hey, our sales aren't what we thought, so let's reduce the price of Mario Kart World? Doubtful, but we will see what happens. I mean, I've been wrong many times, so I could be wrong on this again. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming for the PS5 Pro, and you know the discussion that's going to come up here is that it's a first-party Xbox game, and it's going to have more features on the PlayStation 5 Pro and run better and nicer on the more powerful console. So we have the specs here as to what is happening with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle on the PS5 Pro. Hopefully it works out, because right now the PS5 Pro, especially with PSSR, has not been, I'd say, worth it, but maybe this will be one of those games that does show it's worth it. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows recently has also shown it can do some good things on the PlayStation 5 Pro, but this is via the official PlayStation blog, and it is confirming that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, which is coming out April 17th for PlayStation owners, will be PS5 Pro enhanced, and the optimized console performance on the system will offer higher and more consistent frame rates, native 4K resolution, and advanced ray tracing. But they say, sadly, no other detail has been provided, but definitely impressive to learn that the power of this refresh will be native 4K resolution. I know for the Xbox Series X version, it wasn't at native 4K. It was still an incredible looking and playing game on the console. I mean, that was all id Tech. id Tech does such a great job of giving you great experiences, which I think id Tech is one of Xbox's best gems that they have right now. And I would love to see that expanded out to more developers if they want to use it, if they want to learn how to use it to create their games. Because if you look at Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Machine Games did an amazing job here with just making this a well-performing game, a very stunning visual game. And it's going to be even better here when it gets to the PlayStation 5 Pro. I'm sure we'll see all of the tech analysis specifically from like Digital Foundry when the game does drop, just to see how smooth it is at native 4K when people are designed to play it in that mode. Speaking of Digital Foundry, they did examine Mario Kart World on the Nintendo Switch 2 handheld mode, and they are suggesting here that there is a 120 FPS mode. They do say here that judging from their analysis of the footage, the game's resolution is at 1440p without TAA or temporal upsampling. And they go on to say that the game runs at a buttery smooth 60 FPS, which is expected, while the game's photo mode runs at 30 FPS. The most interesting thing is that the Digital Foundry does allude to a 120 FPS mode in Mario Kart World. So they believe it is going to be there. They believe that this screen, because they do say it is 120 hertz, you can get up to 120 FPS in handle, which is a nice jump here from what we previously had on the Nintendo Switch. How many games will actually take advantage of that though? And what will the resolutions be? Because if you get 1080p 120 FPS games in handle, that will be a nice big upgrade that I think makes that price tag sound a little bit better for a lot of people who are sad about the jump from pricing from the Switch one, which was a $299 console, to a $450, $500 console, which you need to see some big benefits there to make that price worth it. I think from what they have shown off in terms of the specs, in terms of being able to get ray tracing, it's going to have DLSS in there, the screen being 120 FPS, 120 hertz. To me, the price of the console isn't that insanely bad. It's, again, more of the game pricing. Finally, the Elder Scrolls Online had their direct for April 2025. People were hoping this may be some crazy announcement that they show as well the Oblivion remake, that obviously wasn't the case. We're supposed to be hearing about that. The rumors for that have just been nonstop, but Jeff Grubb did confirm that he thinks we are going to be hearing and getting that game relatively soon. But here are the new things that is coming with the new announcement from the Elder Scrolls Online. It is the Season of the Worm Cult, which arrives in 2025. And they say the first story unfolding under the new model is a Seasons of the Worm Cult, which is a direct sequel to the original story that shipped with the Elder Scrolls Online at launch. So you're getting that brand new story in there. It will also introduce the Writhing Wall server event, which Lambert describes as the biggest event that's ever taken place in the Elder Scrolls Online. And the multi-stage event will allow players playing on a server to pitch in, culminating in the siege of the soul-powered wall that's dividing the island. And on top of that, they say not all seasons will necessarily be the same length, and future seasons could run for 6 or even just 3 months. And the other big focus of the Direct is subclasses, a new feature that's on the way for all players to use. In the subclasses, players can reach level 50 and can take a skill line from one or more classes into their existing character, shaking up their playstyle and encouraging some wild experimentation. So those are some of the big things that are coming here with this new season and with this recent announcement for the Elder Scrolls Online. But I'll end the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up, share it, like it, all of that stuff. Help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.